Hello, everyone, and welcome to Graham. Today we're going to be doing a care guide for the common snapping turtle. This is definitely not a turtle that I would suggest for beginners. This is one that I considered keeping, but it just is not feasible for me, and it's probably not feasible for you. But if it is, we're going to be able to figure out from here. From this video is the idea, hopefully. So let's get into it. Some natural facts: they're found in slow streams and lakes across most of the United States. This is the common snapping turtle that we're talking about. There are other snapping turtle species that go in other regions, but most of the United States into some parts of Canada. Their shells can get up to 20 inches long, and they can live up to 100 years, reportedly. Their least concern, but again, always check with your local laws and regulations about if you're able to keep an animal. On to enclosure options. Stock tanks work great, but this waterland tub is going to be very useful. You're going with a large water, so a small land section, but a large water. This is a mainly aquatic turtle, like almost entirely aquatic. It will come out to bask, but usually not out of the water. So you're going to want your basking area actually over the water, with like a rock slightly submerged so that it can stay mostly submerged, because it really doesn't like getting out of the water too often. But this is a great enclosure. Otherwise, build a pond or something in your backyard and fence it in, because you're going to need a lot of space for this animal. On to lighting. If it's outdoors, you don't need it. But a reptile system zone 2 works pretty well. They're partial baskers. They don't need full sun in the wild, so it is a little pricey, but if you're going to keep an animal like this, the $80 price tag isn't going to deter you if the enclosure-sized options doesn't deter you. Heating, again, you probably don't have to heat it if it's outdoors, but your basking temp should be about 90 degrees. So that's, you would measure like it where the, either if you have like the rock, where that it is maybe not fully submerged at the rock, so have a zone there for 90 degrees. They're probably not going to use that basking area too often. But ambient temperature 70 to 75, and night temperatures can go down to 60. A pretty sturdy turtle. Into filtration, this is a species that you're going to need a lot of filtration for. So this is rated for 250 gallons. That enclosure has 200 gallons. You want a little bit of an excess because turtles are super messy. And note, the $300 price tag on the filter. You can make your own canister filter. I might link a video to that that King of DIY does, but it's not going to be too much cheaper, I wouldn't say, once you factor in all the medium and stuff. No, this does not include the medium as far as I'm aware. Maybe Fluval does come with some medium, but note the 700 US gallons per hour, that means it's going to cycle through the water about 3 times each hour, which is good. You're going to need that. Substrate, you don't need substrate really, because they won't often be on land, and any substrate can get sucked up by the filter and dirty the water. If you're doing an outdoor pond, substrate's great because they can burrow in it. They do like to get themselves all up in the sediment, and it's especially when it's cold because it's warmer down at the bottom. But indoors, substrate is just going to make it so that your filtration is going to get even more difficult. Decor. Dubia doesn't really have big pieces of driftwood and rocks, so I'm also going to link up a video Let's see if I can get this right. Up here, up, this up there, that direction. Um, where I do talk about where how I kind of search for driftwood and things like that. I do kind of factor it into our price analysis, but we'll get into that in a second. Feeding. They actually do like a lot of plants. You wouldn't think that, but earthworms, guppies, minnows, crayfish, thawed mice, chickens, or chicken, like raw chicken does great for them. Guppies would be a great enrichment feeder, along with minnows. But for plants, things like romaine lettuce, mustard greens, water hyacinths, apples occasionally, things like strawberries as well. Stay away from things like kale, iceberg lettuce. Kale has lots of oxalates, which I think we've talked about already, but it can bind calcium, so just don't do kale. Trying to think of what else does. I think spinach as well. Those really, really dark greens. Don't do them. Romaine lettuce is a great pick for you. Upfront cost. I've assumed about $100 for decor. You could easily go over that. So I have a total cost here is $1,226.45. As with all turtles, the common snapping turtle is a huge commitment. And this is even bigger than most turtles, because a lot of other turtles you can pick up really easily by the side, no problem. Snapping turtles, first of all, we'd already talked about this in a different video, which I might also put a card up. These are not aggressive animals. These are super defensive animals. Also, we'll talk a little bit later about some things about their bite force, because we will be doing some facts on this turtle species. But they can bite you from grabbing around the sides. They have a really long neck. Their scientific name is, I'm trying to do my best to remember and pronounce correctly, Chelydra serpentina, because serpentina snake. They have a snake-like neck. Chelydra just means like turtle. So it's turtle with a snake. Turtle snake is kind of what it roughly translates to. Yeah, common snapping turtle. They're a really interesting animal. They feed by, this is something we'll also go in a little bit. They feed by actually just opening their mouth up really quick and sucking in water along with other food items. Very different to one of their close relatives, which we're going to go talk about right now. So we're just doing a quick little talk about phylogeny. For those who don't know, it's kind of a study of kind of how things relate to each other. So common snapping turtle, right here, that's our species that we're looking at. So this is the species that we've talked about. As you go farther south, you get the Central American snapping turtle, and even further south, you get the South American snapping turtle. So 3 distinct species in the genus Chelydra, which we've already talked about. Closely related to the Chelydra, however, is the Macrocheles. That's these guys, the alligator snapping turtle families, which has the Solanese snapping turtle, the alligator snapping turtle, and the newly determined to be a species, Apalachicola snapping turtle. So the Apalachicola snapping turtle, native to areas of Florida, I believe Alabama as well. I don't know what all the differences are because I didn't really look into the scientific literature too deeply on that. But new species that's everything I've said says it's still a contested species, but I've definitely seen people I trust talking about it in their videos, like Clips Reptiles. So cool new species. What are some differences between them? Well, for one, you're going to notice, so while it has a short neck here, that neck can reach out really far. Alligator snapping turtles don't have that. Alligator snapping turtles get significantly larger than common snapping turtles. And when I say significantly larger, I mean like 2 to 3 times the size. 100-pound animal. When I volunteered at the local zoo, we had a alligator snapping turtle there. His name was Bowser, and he was massive. Like, I'm talking probably 36 inches. And another interesting thing is the way that they feed is very different. So, like, the common snapping turtle can snap out its neck, suction in water, really fast reaction. Alligator snapping turtles are not like that. They have a tongue that they wiggle like a worm, and when the fish comes in, they just close their jaws. Good night. Fun fact, this is also in one of Clint's Reptiles videos that I didn't know. That's really interesting. Alligator snapping turtles actually have a weaker bite force than the common snapping turtle. Now, I think he makes the assertion that he doesn't know if they would be enough to cut off a finger. The actual force required to cut off a finger is not that much, so I would say that both species have that possibility. You don't want to get bitten by either of these. But the alligator snapping turtle is fully safe to grab by the sides. You need to grab a common snapping turtle by the tail. They have a really thick, muscular tail. I would avoid handling at all costs, because while I believe it is safe for the animal for you to hold it by the tail, I wouldn't suggest it, because I would just be worried that would be causing undue stress on the animal. And this animal is very defensive, which means it can get stressed out pretty easily. I wouldn't hold it. They are a super cool animal to look. If you could get a like stock tank with a glass cutaway section, that would be really cool. Anyways, that's going to be it for this episode. Sorry for the interruption. I've got it's the next day now, but please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what of these species you're excited about, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.